So here we are at the machine now. This time I'm using my Bernina simply because this is my favourite hidden zipper foot. Now, the first thing is to check that mark on the zip that you made is exactly in a line with the mark on your fabric. Actually, when you make this mark, it doesn't really matter, although I wouldn't advise you to use a Sharpie like I did so that you could see it, if you can see it a bit, because once you sew your neck seam, as this zip is usually in the back of dresses or blouses or something, you won't actually see that mark because you will have at least ½ inch seam at the top, and you can make sure that your mark is going to land within that seam allowance. So the next thing then is to get the zip on the fabric in the right position with this ridge that in fact soon will have the zipper teeth in it going into that left groove on your foot. As always, get the foot down and put a stitch in. You're already on your way and things won't start moving everywhere you don't want them to. Now the next thing to do is to get hold of the zip and your fabric and make sure that the teeth of that zip are exactly in a line with your seam line below it. You're not going to sew quite up to there anyway, because you've got your mark to make sure you sew both sides down to the same spot. But make sure you hold it there, have a couple of fingers en route to make sure that your zip isn't going anywhere you don't want it to. This fabric I'm using is not so easy to put this in because I haven't got a nice crisp line that shows me where the teeth should be. If you've got a crisper fabric, you can sew or you can press your seam line in first, and then it works as a guide for you where exactly you want those teeth to land. So let's have a look at this now. Let's get it moving. Of course, mine's deciding not to move when I really want it to. The law of demonstration and my temperamental Bernina sometimes. So I'll go back and get hold of what I had to release to sort it. And now off we go. And as you go, you probably can't see this as it's not very big, but that foot is pushing those teeth out of the way so that the stitch is going in almost under the teeth. And this is what you want, because otherwise your zip won't be concealed. You do have to keep an eye on it because you don't want that needle to go into those teeth. You have to check whether you have any special settings on your machine for a concealed zipper foot. And now I've reached my mark that I'd made far enough away from where the zipper tab lands. You have to be very careful as well. You don't want the tab on the pull to actually hit your needle. And then when I get there, you can, if you haven't got a locking stitch on your machine, just do a couple of reverse stitches, but don't do too many. You don't want a lump where in fact your zipper's got to go past. And then you come out. You cannot and shouldn't even try when you put in a concealed zipper to sew all round it. It's a recipe for disaster. Now if I show you this, on this side here, you can in fact hardly see my line of stitching because it's under those teeth. If I turn it over, you can see I have got a line of stitching.